All right. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are on this beautiful planet. Welcome to the Inner Circle Live Pre-New York session. I'm your host for this morning's session, along with my awesome partner, Mr. Ryan Carthage. And we're definitely happy and grateful for each and every one of you being here with us this morning as we take a look at the technicals and the fundamentals to see what we can take advantage of in this Forex market. So, without further ado, let's make sure that we turn off any and all distractions, grab a pen and paper, take lots of notes, and let's make sure that we participate and engage. Speaking of participation, if everybody can hear me loud and clear, drop me a one in the chat, do a quick sound check. I would really appreciate it. And that is good because we have had a lot of technical difficulties as of late because of the strong storms and all the power outages, right? So crazy last couple of days, especially to start the school year for the kids, right? No school yesterday because the power is out. Now I've got one of my kids, she has school, the other two don't have school. It's just crazy. So been a crazy day. So with all the storms. So all right, I see the ones coming in. So all right, so we're good on the sound. That is good. So let's make sure that we start each and every day with a super strong foundation, making sure that we are taking massive action, making sure that we are accepting all possible losses before entering a trade, preparing for any outcome. Let's make sure that we center ourselves in body, mind, and spirit, assuring a balanced approach to trading, and that we are trusting in our education, strategy, trading skills, and intuition. And let's imagine always that our trades are successfully materializing, right? It's important to keep a very positive outlook on life, but also, right, in this trade game, let's make sure that we are obeying our trading strategy, avoiding decisions based on greed uh, or fear. And let's make sure that we are never looking back or stopping once our trades have commenced. So I hope everybody is ready to take massive action this morning, right? In these markets. And let's go over and take a look at the Forex factor to see what we have going on today. Yes, well, going into yesterday, we had crude inventories, right, came in below forecast, which, right, when we talk about oil, actual less than forecast is actually good for a currency. So we saw that come in at 0.8 million, negative 0.8 million. We had Bostic speaking, right? So this is one of the Fed chairs that I always like to listen to and hear what he has to say. We also had Waller speaking. What did Waller say? Don't know what he said. It was on something different. But to go back to Bostic, right? Because he was speaking directly on, he had some quotes directly on the rate cuts. He said on inflation, there is still distance to go. Bostic sees solid employment despite historical context. So, he is always being conservative, right, in his viewpoints, especially as it relates to the inflation game. But we know that if we click over and we take a look at um, the dollar index, we can see here in regard to the cuts that, of course, a Fed official signaled imminent rate cuts due to easing inflation and rising labor market risk, with Fed Chair Jerome Powell saying at Jackson Hole last week that the time has come to adjust policy restrictions, right? So the market is pricing in about 100 basis points of total easing this year. So we're looking to September for a rate cut. So again, as we have been following this, the question is it going to be 25 basis points or is it going to be 50 out the gate? Okay. But overall, the dollar traded near 101 on Thursday after gaining 0.5% in the previous session as investors look forward to key economic data that could guide the outlook for the Federal Reserve monetary policy. Second estimate for Q2 GDP and the latest initial jobless claims will be released later today, while the Fed preferred inflation gain, the PCE price index report will follow on Friday. Okay, so still hovering near its lowest levels in 13 months. So if we take a look at that dollar index, technically, right, we are in a key, right? We're right at that 100 level where we got that bounce, okay, on the dollar index here. Okay, so we know what's going on fundamentally, but technically, right, key level, right? So there's that low, that previous low right at 100. 0.29. That's a weekly level of support. And we got another bounce. So if we look at um, the daily chart on this, okay, we can see that we've gotten a reaction, right, off of this zone pretty much, all right, to the upside. Daily stochastic is in the buy zone. And on the 4-hour, right, we're looking at an 80-20 off that level. Okay, and you can see that we found some buyers off this level on the dollar. So we'll see if this can sustain itself. As we go back here and we take a look at today, okay, we've got all day. That's got like they haven't put that out yet. So German preliminary CPI, we'll see that come out. But for the US here, we've got again the GDP, preliminary GDP, and we've got unemployment claims. So that's projected to come through at 232,000. Let's see what happens with this as we move throughout the day today. That's the main important things, right? That preliminary CPI out of Germany, right? Largest player in the Eurozone. So that's super important. And then here, 8:30, right, where we've got the preliminary GDP Q-over-Q and unemployment claims for the United States, right? And the preliminary GDP price index. And then later today, we do have Chairman Jordan speaking from the S&P. Got another today. We have Boston speaking again. But everybody's in line, looking like they're pretty much going to be in line for an interest rate cut. I don't see the rates at all come September. So we'll continue to see there. Core CPI for Tokyo coming out of Tokyo year over year, and unemployment rate numbers. We've got retail sales. So I know we've been paying attention to the yen and the price action on the yen. So that's going to be important to see what comes out there. And then we've got retail sales for Australia. Okay, so got some decent data coming out throughout the day today. All right, but 8:30 is that first stop at that those GDP and unemployment claims for the United States. Moving over front page of trading economics, euro dips after inflation, right? So the euro fell below 110, moving further from the 13-month high of 112 as recent inflation data eased. Spain's annual inflation rate dropped more than expected to 2.2% in August, and German state data pointed to likely lower national figures. So we'll see when those official numbers come out. These developments support expectations for a potential rate cut by the ECB in September, with further cuts possible later this year. Okay, so we've got some key data, right, for the euro, right? We see it taking a dip. So we will take a look at some of the euro pairs as well. But the Eurozone economic sentiment rises to over a 1-year high. Okay, that's good. Copper plunges towards what is this? 410 per pound, retreating sharply from a steady rebound that topped at the over 1-month high of $4.30 on August 27th, as the outlook of poor demand to return to investors' forefront. Ongoing growth concerns for top copper consumer China. Right, so they always are playing a huge role. So we have to pay attention to China for sure, right? As we always say, continue to be magnified by Beijing's reluctance to fiscally support the country's struggling manufacturing sector and a movement to allocate public resources toward newer technologies. All right, so seeing copper making a move to the downside. All right. German 10-year, the bond yield falls on ECB rate cut expectations, right? We can put those two and two together there, right? And taking a look at gold, right? So gold rose above 25.10 per ounce on Thursday, approaching record highs. As prospects of Federal Reserve interest rate cuts continue to support the metal, while investors awaited new cues on the extent of the reduction. Later today, the second aspect we already talked about, right? So we know we are targeting gold for an eventual 2,600 target. So we'll continue to see what happens there. Moving over to the quant box, right? If we can get it to load, there we go. So moving over and taking a look at our risk gauges. So as far as coming into the day, right, the previous reading, right, we're in that mixed zone. Okay, we're in that mixed zone. We're gonna see what happens with the markets today once they open. As all eyes were on the Nvidia data that came out after hours yesterday. So I know after hours the Nvidia stock took a hit, even though, right, they beat most expectations, but they didn't exceed some lofty expectations, right? So I was watching that yesterday. I don't know was anybody watching that or listening to uh, the earnings call from Nvidia yesterday. Anybody have a chance to listen in on that um, or look at the results after hours?
Had to go pick up the kids, so I
You had to
missed
go pick up the kids.
it.
Yeah, so they actually beat. You know, they actually came through good and they beat expectations, but there were some pretty lofty expectations, right? So we saw the stock after hours took a hit, right? But to me, that's just an opportunity to buy, right? We look technically on the charts, we'll see what I'm talking about. It's gonna be to me, it's gonna be an opportunity to buy. I can't see it on the charts yet, but I was looking at the wait until the open. But when I was looking at it after hours, like on Bloomberg and and things like that, and the stock was moving up and down, and then it tailed off, right? So um, that's just an opportunity, to buy to me because there's still even. But he said he read it. Okay, awesome. Because still, even like when you look at the forward projections and some of the things that they have coming, right? I mean, the amount of money, right? Another 2 billion projected or so, something like that. I can't remember all the details, but they are still positioned really, 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 really well. So any corrections, right, in the price is just an opportunity to add to the position, in my opinion, right? In my opinion. But we'll see what happens. Like I said, when the market opens, to look at things, technically, because the report was after hours yesterday after the market closed. So, but the market was kind of holding up yesterday, waiting on that, right? Because they hold so much leverage in the market right now. So you can see it's mixed. But for the month, right, we've been pretty much risk on after that major correction, and we saw prices begin to move back to the upside. So we'll see what happens today, with the overall sentiment and things like that as a result of the earnings call. There'll be a lot of talk about that. So that's where we are in regards to the risk gauges. Moving on over to the scorecard summary. Right, we can see here that the NZD USD, right, even though we see that dollar getting a bounce on support for the most part, it's been bullish. Pound CAD, right, we were playing that to the upside. We'll take a look at that Aussie dollar, Nasdaq, NZD CAD, right. So we're seeing some strength against that CAD, right, as we projected. US 10-year still up. We'll continue to see how that moves with the rate cuts looming. The Dow, right? The Dow still performed pound dollar, right? Moving to the upside. So we know that CAD has been weak. The dollar looks like it's finding some support, but overall it's been weak. Still gold to the upside. That Euro USD, right? It's pretty high. We saw the fundamentals on the euro where things are falling in place for them to cut rates in September. So we'll see if we see some more declines in the euro, right? UK 100. Our indices are still, flashing green right now to the upside. Again, like I said, we'll see what happens when the market opens. And we had to continue to pay attention to a lot of the key data coming out of the United States, right? We've got unemployment claims and things like that today because the market, yes, right. Interest rates coming down are positive, are looked at as positive for the market, right? Because you've got lower borrowing costs, definitely can impact things out of loan, real estate, things of that nature where key areas in the market that have been taking a hit. But, you know, you also have to keep in mind, everybody, that we have growth concerns. Okay, so paying attention to those GDP numbers and things like that. We have to. We saw China, right, copper plunging because of some contraction of manufacturing from China. So globally, we do still have to keep in mind that we have some growth concern issues. Uh, so we want to also make sure that we keep our eye on that as well, not just the interest rate cuts. Okay, because you can get an initial rally coming off those cuts, but that rally can become subdued if growth concerns continue to be an issue, right? So again, just the ebbs and flows, the back and forth market, right? I try not to get too high and I try not to get too low, right? I try to stay even killed when it comes to these markets, so you're not taken by surprise by anything, right? And I hope that makes sense. Does it, right? Does that make sense, everybody? Yes, no? Because I know there's a lot of talk uh, in regards to the interest rate cuts, right? How the stock market, right? Hey, a stock market rally and things like that. But let's keep in mind that we've got growth issues as well, right? Okay, to be concerned. All right, all right. So that's it on the fundamental front. Ryan, good morning, sir. How are you?
Good morning, bro. I'm doing well, man. How about yourself?
Man, doing great. Glad to be here. You know,
Yes,
all types of weather, lawn furniture blowing all over the place.
man. It was
Schools out,
crazy.
powers out. Yeah, man.
It been a crazy couple days, man. Crazy couple days on top of shingles falling off.
I don't know. And it seemed like it was
But
all in about 10 minutes.
yeah, yeah, pretty much, pretty much. But glad to be here though, man. Glad to be back at it.
Good. Anything on the fundamental front?
Couple things, man. Read an article this morning about Bostic and um his concerns regarding inflation. Um, he doesn't want to be in a situation uh, where the Fed has to. This is the Atlanta Fed chair. He doesn't want to have to increase rates again in the future. So he has concerns about cutting rates next month. He said they need more data to support that before he's 100% on board with it. He does his expectation for rate cuts has accelerated, but he isn't sure if next month is the right time yet. So that's something that will be interesting looking at the PCE numbers and jobs numbers as the next data points to see kind of where things are. So that's an interesting point. Um, as I think he's talking today. Is that right?
He is talking again today, and we had one of them. I'm glad you went into detail about what he had to say because we had just glanced over one of his comments, on Forex Factory about that, about you know taking caution.
Yeah,
Yep.
yeah,
Hmm.
yeah. And then out of Israel, the war with Hamas and Israel, things are still very tense over there. I know it's been kind of quiet as of late, but um, there was an attack on a school in Gaza. The refugee camps have been raided. So it continues to escalate, even though it's not being talked about. There's still trying to negotiate. However, as things kind of still build up in the background, don't be surprised if we see risk off action come in the next couple weeks, as things still continue to build in the background. So just still keeping an eye there on what's happening and what's going on there.
Got it. Yeah, that just continues to seem to be uh, a thing that just continues to escalate in the back and forth. Like one thing they're talking about, having a deal, then the deal is off the table, and so it's just a lot.
Yeah, and there's even been the U.S. put sanctions on some Israeli leaders,
Hmm.
um, and even some of the was it some of the cap. There are Israeli supporters that are also calling for a deal to be done. So that kind of tells you a little bit about where things are, as I kind of get pushed overboard a little bit. So yeah, it continues to be interesting over there.
Indeed. So we'll continue to keep an eye on it. The market, uh, like I said, it seems like things are continuing to lean towards more you know, just more, escalation. So we'll continue to keep it.
Mm-hmm.
The market seems to be shrugging it off right now, but like you said, day by day, it's just like, man, it seems like it's positive, but then it goes to just a whole nother extreme. So we
Yeah,
definitely should keep an eye on what's going on with that whole thing. And so we'll
yeah,
continue to see. I appreciate the updates, man.
no doubt, man.
All right. So everybody,
I have a question.
yep, go ahead. Go ahead.
So my question is, because I think I faintly heard if they do the cut in September, wouldn't it be more prone for them to raise interest rate because the holiday season coming is going to be a lot of spending, or that wouldn't have anything to do with it?
No, that's not good. That's not good. That's not good because they take all that stuff into account.
Okay.
They take all that into account when they're looking at that, the seasonality of things, right? Great thought, but they take all of that into account, holiday season, things like that. And that, if there are growth concerns, and you cut rates, right? You want to be able to sustain growth at that point. So if they cut rates, that could lead to more people, spending at a time where you feel like you need to, sustain growth or boost growth, right? With those cuts. So that would make for a really good holiday season, hopefully, and boost spending at a time where, like you said, people typically spend. But just on your thought and what Brian had to say about Bostic, right? Those type of things, have to be part of the thought process, right? Because Bostic he is always, hey, being super cautious and conservative, like, hey, let's think about these things. So Joy is thinking like Bostic. We we we're sending you to the Fed. We're sending you to the Fed, Joy. They need you at the they need you at the they need you at the table.
Hey, I'd be happy to sit there too.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. So for sure. Yeah, that's a great thought. That's a great thought. So let's bounce over to the charts again. Here we are, the dollar, right? We got that 80-20 on the four. Most importantly though, right, we found support like at this level. We found some buyers at this level. Right? Has it been lower than that? Yeah, it's been lower than that. So is this going to give us a stronger move to the upside? Right? We've got data today that could give us an idea in regards to what price might do. Um, so we'll see. Right now, we've got some bias that creep in. So obviously, people were eyeing this level, right? So we're right in line with our levels because we gotta move to the upside there on the dollar index. So we'll see if it continues to climb at least temporarily. always know too, right? Always keep in the back of your mind that that dollar can act as a safe haven too, right? So if there is, like Ryan is saying, like a risk off situation, what role does the dollar play, right? It can act as a safe haven. So keep that in mind as we continue to follow things, coming out of the Middle East, right? So sometimes when we think about risk on, risk off, if something goes risk off, why? What's causing that? What's causing that? What's causing that risk off situation? So yeah, so we can take a look at the currency indexes, okay? Um, and we could come over and we could take a look at the Aussie index right now, right? It's continuing to move to the upside, right? This is a 4 hour. This is a hold on 1 second, everybody. All right, sorry about that. Okay. If we pull this fib off and go and we take a look at the daily, right, chart, move up, we can see that we are still running high. Let me put okay. So we are still running to the upside. Okay, strong, right? With the this is the Australian dollar index, right? Moving up. So it continues to look bullish, right? For the Aussie. Right now, we take a look at the CAD. Right, if we come here and look at the daily, right, it's seeing a bounce. Okay, so I'm interested to see when we get the market open, um, to see if this continues to push higher. We know, right, that domestically on this CAD, right, that domestically it does not look good, right? We could be seeing a bounce, um, because of what's going on with the dollar, but we can see that that we've got the Bank of Canada, which has already commenced the cutting cycle, right? We know that they're cutting. Growth concerns are moderating labor market domestically. The unemployment rate held at 6.4%, the highest in over 2 years, with declining net employment and the lowest labor force participation since 1998, right? You got concerns over a slowing Canadian economy. So we'll continue to watch this, especially as it relates to oil prices and things like that with the CAD right now, right? With the CAD index is moving up, right? At least yesterday it had a bullish day. Our euro, right, is on the decline, right? So if we look at the daily here, we've got another high on the euro, all right, and we've been moving bearish, right, to the downside. Okay, so we come into today, looking at the hour, right? You can see we are moving down, right? We're starting to stall a little bit. We'll see what happens at market open, but we've seen, right, like what we read fundamentally, we've seen a decline in the euro, anticipated rate cuts coming. Here we are on the pound on the daily. Okay. So we actually looks like we took out this high. The pound's been running pretty strong, uh, for the most part. We're getting into some levels, right? So there we go. There. So it looks like we're going to put in another high here. Maybe it's time to see a correction. Look at our stochastic there on the daily on the pound. So you've been long on a pound. Good, right? We're getting a bit extended. Here we are on the yen, right? Starting to push higher, right? On the yen index, we put in a low, and we'll see if we can get that yen to continue to, right, rally off this level. Here we had a high that came in on the yen index there. And we talked about the yen, right? Because if we go back to positioning, on our commitment to traders report, we put an article, right? in the community regarding the yen, and we can see that where the yen before, right, was pretty much the most bearish. We can see that they're still bearish on the CAD, right? So that bump in the CAD, I'm looking at that as only being temporary, as we see that on our commitment to trader reports, like investors are super bearish, right, on the CAD. But you can see the yen, right, picked up some ground, okay? Picked up some grounds in regards to the positioning here. So if we come and we take a look at the Japanese yen, you can see, right, that has moved up in regards to investors putting 1.8%, right, to the upside. So it's starting to move up on that yen, okay, projecting, you know, more rate hikes for the Bank of Japan in the future, right? So you can see that that's coming, you know, we're right here, right in the middle, right? But it was super bearish, right? That yen, but we see it's since changed, right? On the commitment of traders report. So we'll see if we can continue to, if that yen continues to rally to the upside, okay? And so we look at the New Zealand dollar index, right? It's been bullish, but we're bullish right into resistance there for the New Zealand dollar, right? We saw it against the US dollar on the scorecard, pretty bullish, right? And so we'll see if we can eventually break through resistance here on the New Zealand dollar index. Any questions on any of the currency indexes? Right? Sometimes it's good to take a look at it individually, right, as opposed to it being in a pair. All right. So let's jump in and take a look at our gold play. Looking at commodities. Want to take a look at that this morning as we are still targeting 2,600 on gold. Want to see, right, where we are. This is on the 1 hour chart. Okay. And we are still looking to get long, right? So we a while ago we saw past resistance becoming future support, right? And we have recovered since then. So we're still aiming for that 2,600 target. If we go down to go up to the 4 hour, take a look at how this is where we are. So this area that we have marked out on gold held, right? And we have since accelerated. Now we're bouncing back and forth, right? We're a bit range bound, but overall, we are still looking bullish on gold. 4 hours stochastic is in the buy zone again, trying to get to 2,600. So if you are in gold, right, continue to hold your position, right? If you're looking for that 2,600 target. Any questions on gold?
No, sir.
No?
Yeah, only that the 50-minute has an 80-20, so.
On the 15? All right. So let's take a look at it. All right. Let's take a look at it on the 15-minute chart because we got it 20. And let's move it on down. Okay. Are you running it off this low? Yes. Right. And we are stalling. Okay.
Yes, sorry, I couldn't find my mic.
That's all right. It's all right. We are stalling. Donette, you have been busy. Where are you at today? I don't know where you're gonna be this afternoon, but I see
Rochester, New York. Oh.
you're, you're Rochester. You are getting it done out there, Donette. It is fun to watch for sure. So the life and times of Donette, right? We see it playing out, getting it done. So awesome. Looks like you're having a lot of fun. So keep it up. That's what it's all about, for sure. Yeah. So here we are on a 15-minute, and we have on the sub fib an 80-20, right? So if you plan a shorter term move, right, looking for that correction, can we get that 382 deeper, right? Another correction. And we can see that, right? We've got unemployment data. We've got some US data coming out today, right? Because again, this is gold versus the US dollar. So if we see some dollar strength continue to kick in, we can have this play out, right? We have not hit that D extension yet. So that move is still in play, right? So we're going to make sure that we drop down that some sevens in that chat for this potential correction. Okay. If you're holding long, this might not be your thing, but it can also give you an opportunity to add to your position, right? If we get that correction. So no matter which way you're looking at it, it is something to pay attention to. And that's what this group is all about, helping each other win. Right? So let's see what happens there on this 80-20 for gold. Right. So since we are on the commodities train, let's take a look at oil. Okay. As it continues to bounce around, this is the daily chart. So we pull back to this key level again. So I am going to go ahead and extend this. Okay. I'm going to go ahead and extend this out that zone because it continues to hold. And here we are on the daily, right, at a key level off this fib running off the low. So do we continue to see an upward move in oil? That is the question, right? That's on the daily chart. Let's go down to 4 hour, 1 hour to see what the price action is looking like, right? So if I come again, running off this low here, right? Do we, right, continue to push long from here? That's the question, right? That is the question. So let's continue to see how it plays out. Right? Your oil activated. I was just about to ask Joey, what are you thinking about oil? So it it activated at 75.13. Okay. Yeah, it went at 75.13. So let's see if we can get a continuation, right? Is this gonna be the higher low and a continued move up on oil? All right. So oil traders, keep us updated, right? On what's going on fundamentally with oil. Okay, as we see if this double bottom can continue to play out to the upside. Any questions on oil?
I think it's gonna be kind of stagnant for a minute because while they're trying to do the peace talks, it was a tanker that it got hijacked in something. I have to find the article. I fell asleep reading it.
So the tanker got
It was
basically
carrying
bombed it.
Russian oil or something.
They bombed it, yeah. And there's a scenario where they said basically don't ship oil through this area. I believe it was an Israeli tanker, and they did anyway. So the junta attacked that tanker, and they ended up the EU reached out and said, "Hey, can you guys bring this tanker in?" So they brought the tanker in into the Gaza area, but they aren't releasing it. But they are still attacking ships and tankers that go through, I believe it's the Red Sea. So, yeah, I read that same article.
Man, in 2024, we got modern day pirates. Man, oh man. Dang on. So
And it was on fire, so it's leaking, and they can't get nobody out there to clean up the mess. So it's starting to cause pollution issues.
gotcha. So we may see this continue to bounce around. So let's see. Let's see, right? It's had a hard time breaking this level. So we'll see how that plays out. Mhm.
Yeah, sorry to interrupt you. Yeah, so I
No, it's
remember
okay.
seeing.
It's okay.
I remember seeing this as well. It was a Greek vessel that was attacked in the Red Sea. I've seen this on the news. Yeah, so linked to what everyone else was saying, yeah, it was blown up because it was in a no-go zone. So yes, and it's leaking. Yep, Joy said everything, and you guys said everything. So yeah, I've seen the same thing. Yeah, just point observation.
Man, we got 3 confirmations on that. So man, so let's see what happens. Let's see what happens with oil. Let's see. Oh my goodness. Let's see what happens. We had what was that? We it came in below forecast, which is positive on the what was that? Wednesday, right? Came in below, right? So uh came in below. So the it was off. So not we'll see what happens. We'll see what happens, right? Again, demand issues are looming. So it's negative 0.8 came in below what was forecast. So we'll see. We'll see
But
what happens.
the reason why I did dang it is on my other computer. The reason why I did take the order is because it was good news about Canada oil. It was
Oh,
it was in when I get to my what's the name, I'll post what I had put in my journal about when they did the Canadian dollar analysis and everything. But
hmm
it was good news about Canadian oil. So that's the reason why I did take the trade.
Okay. Okay. So we'll see. We'll see what happens with that. So you took the trade. It's in a position, right? If we can push higher, right? It's looking good. What'd you say? What'd you say? 75, 13?
Yep.
Okay. So we'll see if we move higher. Right? So technically, it's looking like it's in a position where this could be a higher low and we get a bounce to the upside. So I hope that works out for you, Joey. Hope that works out. Okay. So that's that. Take a look at Nat Gas, right? Kind of just doing what it does, right? We got a nice move. Look, this has just been kind of everywhere, right? Just moving sideways, which is cool. But we see that we've got gains. So I wonder, this is looking at the chart, right? Right, so you got this a nice move up there. Anybody tracking Tyrone? Anything on this Nat Gas?
So,
That's a huge move there.
oh yes. So with Nat Gas, I haven't managed to get into any positions because it looks like it has a mind of its own from time to time.
It
Um,
does.
yeah, when you think you're doing good or doing well, you get yourself into a long position, but it has a great pullback as well as its good news. So I was just waiting just to anticipate. At the moment, it's been in a consolidation,
hmm
it down the low, and of course we just got even prices. So I'm just keeping my eyes on that. I'm sure there's some news today in regards to this commodity. I'm just gonna have a look. But yeah, there's nothing so far that I've seen on natural gas that's really stood out to me.
No, not at all. I mean, from a daily perspective, it's like we're putting in that low. Well, it's in there, right? That's an official low, but it hasn't given us much. I agree with you. I agree with you there. It hasn't given us much to go off, at all. So we will continue to watch that, but we do have a low there. So we'll see. And that was a pretty strong move on that one. So I need to read up on that as well. So we'll continue to do our research on that and see how that plays out. That was huge. Again, I don't know what led to that. Interesting to find out what happens there. So we'll see. So that's where we are on that gas. But you're right, it hasn't given us much at all, right? Gold, I mean not gold, but silver, right here. Right. Still right within that AV boundary, 80-20 on the one. Right. So we'll see. We know that copper took a hit because of demand coming out of China. So we'll see. But right now that's still positioned to the right. So that's still moving uh to the upside. Take a look at this from the daily. See what we've got going, right? So again, it's just amazing how things you know, in when they're in the same class, how it just looks similar, right? So here we have pretty much double bottom type of scenario here, right? And then we move on from that. Right? So that's the daily. So we'll take that down, back down to the one and continue to track it. But that is still, for the most part, it's moving, you know, right? Bit rangy as of late, but we're still within that AB boundary. So we'll continue to watch and see how that plays out. Wanted to take a look at this euro dollar. Right. And we can see here, right, where we put this high in. Okay. And I was looking at this yesterday evening. I'm like, man, I missed that move. So here we are at resistance. And we're getting a move down. That looks like that wants to continue. We'll see what happens with the data coming out today with the unemployment claims for the US. We know, right, based on the fundamentals of what we saw, they're expecting, they're leaning towards more rate cuts because of the fundamentals coming out of the Eurozone in September. But we're looking at a rate cut in the US as well right now. Right, that is moving short. We saw the DXY. If that dollar continues to find support and move up, we will see this move back down, right? At least back down to this. What was this? This was 110.47. That's where that daily level is pretty much. So we can see it continue to move down. Our stochastic is still moving down. So our daily, from a daily standpoint, when we're looking at that stochastic being in that sales on the buy zone, we get that higher low to form. We're still continuing to see good movement. We come down to the 4, right? It's an 80-20. Look at that turning over. Right? So get these levels down. So, right. So the game rages on. Right? It is still the exact same thing. Yep, that 4-hour 80-20. You are on it, right? And it is moving down. Right? So it is still the same game. I know we are looking at all types of stuff now, different asset classes, right? Which is something Ryan and I always wanted to do with this group. But it is still the same game. Nothing changes, right? Nothing changes. Still moving down 80-20. Here's that 382 target. Let's see if we can get it. Keep in mind, right? We've got support there, right before we get to that 382 target. So just added caution there, right? As we have our ideal target, but the reality is we have a support sitting there. So think about it, right? If you're sitting short, you're up pretty good. Maybe you reduce your trade at that level. Our 4-hour stochastic is back in the buy zone. So we've got some room to run still to that support level. Don't be greedy, right? If you see price start to stall at this level and you've got a 382 target, take some money off the table. Okay. Take some money off the table. So that's that on a Euro USD. Any questions on that? All right.
No, sir.
All right. Last week, beneath, I think it was. EuroCAD. EuroCAD. Still holding that to the downside. I think that was beneath. He was short on that.
Yep, it was.
Yes. Right. We were going back and forth, right, to see how deep that correction was going to be. Great job. Right. Put some sevens in the chat for beneath. All right. We're going back and forth, right, with that CAD, because overall long term, right, short doesn't have a positive outlook. But look, just playing those daily levels that continue to decline. Look at this 4-hour where we were wondering if things were going to hold up in the zone. Look at where we are, right? So we're not out of that yet, but we did continue to see declines, right? So great job. So it is really raining true, right? That higher time frames control the lower time frames, right? Ever since I really made the commitment to focusing on those swing highs and swing lows on the daily, right? And running, trade ideas from there, it has really helped me big time, right? And being able to see, are you right all the time? No, never will be, right? But in regards to having patience and letting things play out and really picking and choosing your spots based on those highs and lows, it has really worked out. We never got a new established low here. It just kept running to the downside. So as long as those candles stay red, stay in the short trade. Right now, we're moving down. Right. So we've got a level coming in here that we're coming into that we need to add. Okay. Here. Okay. You see? Like so. So we're coming into this level. Now, maybe we get to the point where we find support here. Last time we see that it took off, but this level here, we're looking, can't push right through. Just kept running right to the downside. Okay. And so the question always comes when you look at um, what's going on domestically, right? We're reading the fundamentals on the CAD. We're looking at the COT data, and we're looking like long term, man, that CAD is not looking good, but this could be a result, right? Not necessarily of CAD strength, but because of euro weakness and anticipation of further rate cuts, right? And so that's always I get quite curious, right, on moves like this to see, what's really driving. I think it is that euro, right? The euro data and the expectation, right? And so when you look at the overall the volume on that euro, right? Look at that, it's just taking over, right? And moving to the downside. So we'll see if we get support. But you guys can see does everybody see how good that daily stochastic works, right? That my mentor, the chief, put together like the way they set that up, the way he set it up, the daily stochastic, right? And how it really falls in line really well with the daily time frame, right? So really good gauge. It's a really good indicator, especially off that daily. Joy, I know, right? We all be mega rich, but this has been a really good gauge on that daily time frame. So we are continuing to move down. So we'll see, right? It's right at that 8 boundaries, that level of support, right? So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna leave this just like this and just watch the price action, clean it up to see if we do get a double bottom. So that has been the right move to the downside. Right? Does it take a lot more patience, right? Are you involved in as many setups, looking at those daily levels? No, right? But they are highly profitable setups. Okay, so let's see what happens. Any questions on that EuroCAD? No? All right. Moving on to I want to take a look at this pound dollar. Okay, and I'm looking at this because the support, right, that dollar is finding. So I'm just interested to see where the currency pairs, uh, how the currency pairs are lining up as a result, right? So we look here on the daily. See that? That just kept running. Look at that to the upside. Now, though, we look at that DXY. We see that it's putting in that low, right? Close the day lower. That's going to be an official swing high. So let's see, because it took out this level here, right? This is your previous high, like so. like that. So it may be time for that to correct, right? We're looking at our stochastic. Let's see what happens. Can we get a bearish candle close back below, right? What is this? What's the parameters on this? 131.46 on that monthly level that it broke through. Okay. So we're pretty high. We're pretty high in the zone there. Look at this, right? It's made a nice run to the upside. Look how that's starting to stall out, everybody. Beautiful play. We got overextended. We had an 8-6 pullback, right? So beautiful 80-20 move to an 8-6 pullback. We ran all the way to the 1.618 extension and beyond. So it may be time, right? It may be time to get that corrective move. But we'll see. We got a stochastic misalignment. Let's see what happens on the 4. Keeping an eye again on that daily time frame. Okay, here we are on the 1. Okay. We didn't get the pullback on this 1 hour play, which would have been awesome. Didn't get it, but we shot to the D extension, started a new fib, but we could see, right, how, right, this is kind of giving us a crown look there. So we'll see what happens. With the pound dollar, like I said, keep in mind on that DXY, we seem to be finding support, right? We seem to be finding some support. Let's see what happens with the data at 8:30. To see if we can continue to get a run. But there we are, right? On this daily chart. Again, taking a look at that low that's being put in. Okay. So that's that. Take a look at the NZD USD, right? Because that was making a run to the upside as well due to a weak dollar. Right? Continuing to accelerate. Look at that. Okay. Look at that move on the weekly. Right? That's a double bottom there. We spotted it on the lower time frames. There. Okay. Took out this high. Continue to push long, right? But we are in overbought territory, right? So we don't have anything close, right, to a swing high forming there yet, like we had on the pound. But this is what we look like on the 4. Okay, just ran it off, right? Second half of that double bottom, and we're moving up into an 80-20 zone, right? So do we start to, right, form higher on the 4 and move down, right? So we've got all types of resistance in this area. So we're looking at an 80-20 here on the 4, right? We'll have to get that posted. Okay, we'll have to get that posted. It's a trade idea. Again, dollar looking to find support. Okay. So we want to zero in on these to see if we can get the price action to start to correct on that NZD USD. Any questions on that? No? All right. So let's take a look at, before we close out, move over, because I am interested to see what happens as a result of that NVIDIA call. Last night, how the markets react. Right? How the markets react. Okay. So this is your S&P 500 on the 4. So we've since pushed through resistance, right? But we're moving sideways, right? We're putting a 4-hour low here, but it's kind of just bouncing around. So it's going to be, like I said, it's going to be interesting to see what happens. Let me get this out of here, clean this up. To see what happens on the market open to see if we get a sell-off, we get a continuation. We've got, like I said, US data coming out at 8:30. So this one is going to be a fun one to watch today to see what the market does on the heels of that. Again, they beat expectations. Did they outdo lofty expectations? No, but Nvidia performed well. It's just been a monster. Recently with like far exceeding forecasts, and people were coming in. Some people were coming in with those expectations. You did have people in the camp of it's unsustainable at some point. It has to tail off a bit. They can't continue to continue to meet these crazy, crazy results. At some point, we will see results that aren't as extraordinary as some might be expected to be. Right. But it still was a positive result for Nvidia yesterday. So we will see. But that's where we are on the 4. If we move up to the daily chart to see where we are. Right. We're just ranging. Right. So do we push the retest to high, or is it time to see a correction? But you can see how our stochastic is moving down right out of our sell zone, and it's just moving sideways. Okay. So the price action hasn't come back through that level and continued to follow, the momentum to the downside. Like it's a fight right now. Right. Look at that. Okay. So let's see what happens as the day plays out, right? The NAS 100, right? Similar situation, right? Look at that correction. And are we going to get a continued bounce off this B boundary and a rally? Where are we at? US 30. That actually performed, right? Decent. Look at that continuing to move to the upside, right? Look at the movement there. So let's continue to see what happens. So I know, right? This is going to be another interesting one today. We'll close out on this one. This is the semiconductor ETF, SMH, right? All of these are moved up into, right, these 80-20 zones, right? So from a technical perspective, tells us, hey, we may be due for a correction. But the market has been so strong to the upside, we know that the market can go on those runs where it just continues to push through 80-20 zones. But we've stalled out pretty good here. So if we see a correction, I wouldn't be surprised. But again, right, looking at the long-term outlook, to me, those become great opportunities to buy. Right. Yes, I'm looking at all types of Facebook posts that Warren Buffett continued to sell off his Bank of America stock. The market's gonna crash, right? All the doomsday scenarios, right? People fall for the trap every time. Okay. Nothing wrong with cleaning up on 982 million. It's still owning, I think it was 990 something million shares of Bank of America, right? So it's still like hold like 12%. Right? Of portfolio's Bank of America. So he cashed out to reposition for other growth to me, other growth opportunities, not because there's going to be a major crash in the market, right? So always remember fear and greed, fear and greed. Okay. If you fear, you're going to miss out on opportunities to buy when it comes to the market. Everybody follow me on that. Drop me a 1 in the chat. Okay. So people are always quick to post the one major headline, but they never read the details, and then they get everybody else involved in it. Right? So for him to sell off what he sold in Bank of America, he still holds a major stake in Bank of America. But if there's going to be opportunities in other areas, right? If there's other areas where we can find growth, of course I'm going to go to cash. Right? I'm gonna get my cash pool together because I'm gonna look for opportunities to buy, not because I'm digging a tunnel underground because I think something's about to happen, right? So just keep that in mind as you guys see these posts in your feed. various things from various people on social media. So we'll see how that plays out. But the market to me overall still looks fairly healthy. And we'll continue to track it. I know we posted some things in the chart in regards to long-term portfolios. We're definitely going to get into that. That is a fun game to play as well. So we just wanted to post some things so you guys can start to read up, all right, and know, you know, being totally transparent and know some things that we are getting involved with in the markets as we continue to evolve as a group. All right. So with that being said, Ryan, anything before we close out? I know you probably got to get your daughter to school.
Great session, bro. Nothing additional to add, man. Excited about what is to come. Interested to see how these markets move today.
For sure. All right, everybody. Appreciate you being here, hanging in with me. I know we're about 10 minutes over, but I appreciate it. Hey, always remember, don't just count your pips, but also count your blessings. Have an awesome rest of the day. We'll see you tomorrow, 6:30 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. Again, accountability group, right? 6 p.m. So if you have time to stop in, make sure you do that.
You on the waffle low?
What'd you say?
Well, I'm sorry.
Oh. So just make sure, right, that you stop in and take advantage of that because they are discovering some awesome things in that group. So have a great day, everybody. Bye for now.
Thank you.
You're
Thank you,
welcome.
guys.
Thank you.